Hey everyone, Chelsey here. I have a very special guest joining me today. Who is it? Let me give you a clue.
Miss Weston wanted me to find this Bible verse.
That looks like trash.
One man's trash is another woman's clue.
Your word is a lamp to my feet and a
light to my path.
It means something. Why else would she have given me the lamp?
Promise me you're not going to do any weird investigative journalist stuff.
You guessed it. Great work, detectives. She executive produced, wrote, and starred as Abigail Broukes in the Abigail Mysteries on Great American Family. Ansley Gordon is here. Hey, Ansley, we're so excited to chat with you because the Abigail Mysteries was the first mystery film for Great American Family, and it streamed #1 on Pure Flix for quite some time shortly after it came out. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, when we started the project, Great American Family and Pure Flix hadn't merged yet. So I didn't know that it was going to go to Great American Family. We were working directly with Pure Flix, but I had already done a couple of movies as a writer for Bill for Great American Family. So when we were filming at the very beginning of filming the Abigail Mysteries, Bill was super interested in the script. And I was like, that's weird, like flattering. Like I'm flattered that he's interested, but they're two different platforms. And then the news broke while we were filming, and I was like, oh.
It makes sense now.
Yeah. And so it was great to work with somebody that I've already worked with so much, which is Great American Family, and then getting to start from the ground up with Pure Flix and have this really great creative process. And yeah, I originally wasn't going to play Abigail. That was not the plan. Until we started going through casting and not finding anybody. And Pure Flix was like, well, do you want to do it? And I was like, no, I can't. No, I'm writing it and I want to produce it, but like, I don't think and Jim over at Pure Flix, he was very like, I really think this is yours. Like, I really think this is yours to, and he was really encouraging and very, yeah. So that's how that happened. I was terrified to play her. Cause I was like, I want to do it justice, cause
Right.
There is so much of me in it. I love Nancy Drew. You can probably see all my Nancy Drew books. Then up here, I have like my first and second editions. Like, Nancy Drew has a huge impact on my life. And then I love obviously mysteries. And then we were having Brett Green, who plays Matt. He was my husband's best friend, and they were roommates when we first started dating.
In real life.
In real life.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And his Brett's wife works with my husband. And so we have like this connection. And so I'm like, well, I don't want to like, am I good enough? Am I okay? Yeah, I finished.
And then you're like awkward. I'm also gonna like kiss my husband's best friend, but
the kiss is so awkward in the movie, like to the point where we got notes of like, okay, so in future movies, if we could maybe, you all have great chemistry until you have to kiss, and then it's like kissing your sibling. So
that is so funny. Well, at one point I was going to ask you because somebody somewhere put a graphic wrong. Like they said Ansley Gordon and then they said Brett Gordon. And so I was like, wait a minute.
No, it is Brett Green. They messed up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And so interesting that you say that you were basically asked to do the position that you already wrote for Abigail. And I feel like you were the perfect fit for it. And I know that you kind of felt a little bit like self-conscious about it. But I was thinking maybe since you were the screenwriter and then you also executive produced it too, that like you would want to star in it because you know exactly what you want from that character and you know how to deliver it. So it's interesting that you didn't totally feel that way.
Yeah, I think sometimes when I write things, I've had 16 or 17 of my scripts produced. And sometimes when I write them, I'm like, yes, this is me. I am the best person for this job. I promise. That's how I thought about Hulu's A Christmas Frequency. That one I was like, I am Kenzie. Kenzie is my sister's name, but I am Kenzie. I can play this role, I promise. But with Abigail, that it was more, I'm a very bubbly person. I'm a very comedic person. And I tend to lean towards romantic comedy. And so with Abigail, there are heavier things. And I was worried that I wasn't a strong enough actress to do it. And then it was that's so silly. Cause like I got on set and I was like, oh, duh. Yeah, no, I am Abigail.
Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, I wouldn't have seen that at all. That was just a limiting belief that you had that was temporary, and thank goodness, because you did an excellent job. And I feel like even though, I don't know if a lot of people know that you're a comedian, but even though you definitely have that, like I can feel it from you. Like even in our email exchanges, I was like, oh my gosh, I love her already.
Oh,
Like,
you're so sweet.
I could feel your energy, and I was like, I can't wait to talk with Ansley. But yeah, I mean, you did such a good job being serious too, because it definitely took a serious turn quite a few times.
Yes, and there were a couple, that was the stuff I was the most so I cry all the time. I cry like every day all the time, and I just love it. I'm very in touch with my emotions, but when it comes to doing it in a performance, if I'm not super grounded in what I am doing and what I'm talking about, and it can sometimes feel phony or feel forced, and I really didn't want that for her. I really wanted her grounding moments to be
Yeah.
what you connect with, like the heart of her, because she is divorced. She has had a miscarriage. Her life has been totally upended, and God has a bigger plan. But
Right, always. And I wondered about this. I saw on your website that you also had those 2 podcasts, the Creative Spark, and then you have the Hollywoodland Unsolved. And as soon as I saw that one, I was like, oh, this is totally the Abigail Mysteries right here. So did you tie that in somehow? Or like, what was the inspiration for the Abigail Mysteries?
so it's a funny story. Vanessa Shapiro at Nicely Entertainment, she does a lot of stuff for Great American Family and Hallmark, and she did my Hulu movie and Abigail Mysteries. And so she emailed me and she said, hey, do you have any cozy mystery concepts? And I was like, totally. No, I didn't have any, but I sat down and was like, okay, what can I come up with? So in like 10 minutes, I came up with 5 concepts and just wrote little blurbs and said, Abigail Broukes is a true crime podcaster struggling with X, Y, and Z with the small town cop. She does this and whatever. And so I wrote, and franchise option available with the podcast as a runner. And so I wrote 5 of those. They sent them over to Pure Flix, 22 concepts to Pure Flix. Pure Flix picked 2, and they were both mine. So I was like, okay, God, I guess I'm writing a movie for Pure Flix. I guess I'm gonna do that. So one of the development executives at Nicely wrote the actual concept because I didn't have time. I was on deadline for Terry Hatcher's How to Fall in Love by Christmas. So I was going through that process.
Yeah.
And I didn't have time to build out 2 movies. So I said, okay, I'll take Abigail. You take this other one. And he wrote the concept for that and then sent it to me. And I was like, I don't like it. I'm going to edit it a little bit, but it didn't have as much of my voice in it. And I think that's why they ended up picking Abigail first. We are incorporating that other Cozy Mystery series. We are incorporating some of those elements into Abigail moving forward. Knock on wood.
Oh, moving forward. I hear that. What does that mean?
Nothing is official, but we are talking about where we would take it next and what we would do and how soon we would do it.
Okay, amazing. I will be honest with you, when I first heard the Abigail Mysteries, which was back in July, I think when it came out. And so when it came out, I was so excited. I'm like, I can't wait to watch this. And then life got in the way, and then I wasn't able to watch it until, several weeks ago. And I first thought, oh, this is a series. Like, this is episode 1, we're gonna see episode 2. And then I saw the length of it and I was like, oh no, this is a film. And then after it was done, I was like, I totally understand what everybody's talking about of like why they want this to be a series. Because everyone wants like that murder mystery or even just mystery series in general. And you not only delivered on that, but made literally everyone want more. Did you see everyone's comments?
So sweet. I try not to read the comments. I'm very sensitive.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, I try not to, because sometimes they're nice, but then I feel like the mean ones stick out in my mind and I'll get really down on myself. There'll be 30 nice ones and then 1 mean one, and I'll only remember the mean one.
Yeah.
So I try to not read the comments, but it was there specifically on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it now.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really positive feedback on there. And I did read all of those and tried to respond to every single one. And that was really flattering. I didn't expect it to be, I thought it would just be something that like went on Pure Flix and maybe like some people would watch it. I didn't expect it to pop the way that it did.
Oh, it absolutely did. And I wrote down a couple things that people said, and only the complimentary ones, okay? That they loved the scriptures that were included, the testimony, that you did such a good job of balancing teaching without preaching. I'll put it that way.
Thank you. Well, I'm not a preacher, so I don't feel like that's not what I'm here to do.
No, but it was perfectly balanced. And they also said that they want this to become a regular series. They said they need it They don't just want it, they need it. And they also said it was inspiring and intriguing. So I just wanted to give like a couple little shout outs. I did have a couple fans write specific questions, and I'll get to those in a second. But
Oh my gosh, that's so flattering.
yes, I wrote it because there's this huge community of all these Great American Family fans and even Pure Flix fans. And so I just write to them and I say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to interview the most epic person, Ansley Gordon. Write your questions below. I'll try and get some in there to ask her. So we'll definitely get to some of those in a minute. But I have to ask you, because as an Arizona native, I was so excited, like I mentioned to you in the email, that you guys did a lot of this in Prescott, and obviously this took place in Prescott for the story. So why did you choose Prescott? Do you have like an Arizona connection?
Yes. So Pure Flix is based in Arizona. And then our distributor, Nicely Entertainment, is in Scottsdale. So the film incentives were just about to be passed as we were going through pre-production, and we ended up being the first feature film with the film incentives in Arizona. So yeah, that was part of it. And then I think I knew they wanted to film in Arizona because of where the offices were. And then they found Prescott, and it's like, what, the second or third oldest town in Arizona.
Yeah.
And they were going through looking at it, and they were like, we love this. Can we make it? Can we actually make it Prescott, like set it in Prescott? And we did. And we partnered with like the police department and we really worked with like the town, and it was so cool. I loved it. I can't wait to go back. Sometimes when I can't fall asleep, I like think about how I felt in my hotel room in Prescott, like watching the snow, and like I just loved being there. I can't wait to go back.
Well, we loved having you. I said before, as a second generation Arizona native, we love hearing that people have a good time when they come to Arizona, because that's what it's all about. So
Beautiful.
you said it was snowing. So you guys shot winter?
We shot in February.
Okay. Wow, that's still a pretty quick turnaround.
Yes, it was originally supposed to be shorter. It was supposed to come out on Pure Flix in March or April. Like it was supposed to be like a 6-week turnaround.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then Bill Abbott at Great American Family was like, no, we're going to save it. We're going to give you a whole premiere and everything. So, which was really cool. But yeah, we had 2 blizzards while we were filming.
Perfect.
And it's not a Christmas movie.
No, not at all. Yeah, you're like, this is going to be an interesting way to write this in, but I'm sure you could.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted it to be set in the fall. We wanted it to feel like a fall cozy one. And then the original plan was 4 movies. And so it was fall, winter, spring, summer that we were going to do of these characters.
Yeah.
And now we might get a little more time with them now.
Oh, I love that. We'll take as many as we can get.
We love
I love to hear that. I want to do as many as everybody wants me to do.
Yes.
We'll take 100. Let's just say that.
Love it.
And that'll just be season 1. No, I'm just kidding. When you were here, did you get to explore Arizona at all, or were you just kind of like Prescott and then go time?
And film.
Yeah, it was pretty much that. We filmed the whole thing in 10 days, I think. Like it was really fast turnaround. So I was there less than 2 weeks. But yeah, so on our day, on my big day off was one of the blizzards, and we couldn't get out. We were like snowed in, and the front desk person was like, we have somebody coming to shovel, but we're not sure what time they're going to come. Where's your car in the parking lot? And I was like, oh, I don't have a car in the parking lot. I was going to call an Uber, but I guess I won't.
Yeah, exactly.
There's snow.
They're not going to get to you.
They're not going to get to me. So I didn't get to explore as much as I would have liked on that day. But before we started filming, I was doing some location scouting stuff and got to eat at a couple of restaurants downtown and got to meet a couple of people. And yeah, it was really fun.
It's so cute. Oh, well, I loved seeing all of the buildings, growing up out here and then going up to Prescott regularly. And then you guys also saying Prescott correctly. Thank you for doing that. Because everybody.
Because it's spelled like Prescott.
Yeah, Prescott. And then, it's a native thing. But yeah, I loved seeing all of the buildings. So I'm going to actually go back to some of the buildings that are from the Abigail Mysteries and just say, hey, like this is what this building is. Here's a little bit of the history.
We made rocks. So originally the movie was called Mysteries of the Heart. And we made Mysteries of the MOTH rocks. We wrote moth on them and signed them and left them at some of the locations where we filmed. I don't know if they're still there, but if you find a moth rock or like something that says like Abby and Matt, what was us trying to like leave Easter eggs.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, I'll definitely keep my eyes peeled for that. Also, my husband is like basically a historian because he's taught me more about my home state than I ever knew. And he's from Kentucky. And
he's from where?
He's from Kentucky. So for him to, he comes to Arizona and he's like, let me tell you the history of this building and all the things.
There's a lot of history.
Oh, yeah, so much history and Wild West history. He loves Wyatt Earp. It's so cute. But we'll go together and we will find those rocks and hopefully they're still there.
I hope they're still there. And if they're not, you'll have to come when we come back, if we come back to film.
Yeah, we're just going to say when and not if. And yes, I would love that. I'll sneak on set if you let me, Ansley, and then I'll just be like, here's how it is on set and here's all the things going on. And then here's these little Easter eggs. And then we can show everybody all the little special moments that you guys have too. Because I wonder what you're like on set. Are you more serious? Like, do you get into character and you don't break character? Or do we have some outtakes that we haven't seen and you're really fun?
Absolutely. There are quite a few blooper reels, especially because Brett and I have known each other for 10 years,
Right.
so like there was a lot of shorthand and a lot of goofiness and I have hyperhidrosis. So my hands are really sweaty. My nickname is Sweaty Hands Ans.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of like Brett poking fun at me because he knows me so well. So
Right.
yeah. If I am serious, it means we're like behind on time or we lost a location or something's going wrong. But if everything's going right, then I am exactly like this.
Yes.
I believe it. Yeah, if I was on set with you, I feel like we would have the most outtakes of all time. We would be like the female versions of Jim Carrey, like on set together. So next time you come out too, we'll have to give you a tour so you can see more of Arizona because there's so much to see, so much beauty in the desert.
I want to go hiking. I want to do like there's a lot of stuff I want to do.
Horseback riding.
Yeah.
There's so much to do. Want to hear some fan questions?
Yes, I would love some fan questions.
Let's do it. Okay, so I know we've already kind of talked about this, but I do want to give Elizabeth, LaRosha, and Deborah a shout out because they said they loved it so much. They watched it several times and they hope it becomes a series. So I had already asked you, but I will blatantly ask you again. Do you have any information regarding if this is going to become a series or if another one is in the works, Ansley?
So what I can say is we have a lot of positive response from the people who have to say yes to us. And I may or may not have turned in an outline for the next couple of movies. So we're just waiting on if somebody's going to say yes, if they want to keep going. So it's out of my hands. They have where I would take the story and hopefully we get a yes very soon.
That would be amazing. And we're ready to have you back in Prescott. So we're putting the prayers and positive vibes.
I texted our executive producer yesterday. I was like, have we heard anything? Like,
Yeah.
I want to be in Arizona.
We want you here. Come on down anytime you want. Oh, I love that. Well, okay, this one's from Neil. He said, where and when did you get started? And then how did you manage to become so talented with storytelling, acting, and directing all at the same time?
Oh my gosh, Neil, you're so sweet. So I need to cut off directing. I've only done a couple short films. I haven't directed any feature film. I have so much respect for directors. Our director on the Abigail Mysteries, Brittany Goodwin, who also played, why am I blanking on her name? Cammie, the villain. And so what she juggled is insane. And I don't know if I'm ready to wear every single hat just yet, but that is hopefully going to come in the future. The beginning of the question, how did I get started on in my career?
Yes. Let's start there.
Okay. Yeah. So I was a dancer when I was little and all the way through college. But when I was little, I went to this dance studio that partnered with a regional theater and they were casting a regional equity show and they needed kids that had stage presence. And so my dad was like, why don't you audition? So I auditioned and I realized that the kids in the age group above me got to be the munchkins and they got more stage time. Whereas my age group, I was 4. My age group was the poppies and they were only on stage for one scene. So I auditioned and I asked the director, well, can I be a munchkin? Like if I get the job, can I be a munchkin instead of a poppy? And he was charmed by that, said yes and whatever. I ended up getting cast in the show, but only as a poppy. So at the first rehearsal, I went up to him and was like, excuse me, sir, we had a deal.
Yes.
You said I could be a munchkin. And he was so charmed and said, yes, you can be a munchkin, but you have to be a poppy too, because we need you for numbers to do that. So that was at 4. And I told my dad after the run of that show that I was going to be an actor. And he was like, okay, sure, whatever. So a couple years go by, my parents have multiple kids in between. Then that director is doing another show for the same theater and it's The King and I, and they can't find anybody for the youngest daughter. So they called my dad and they were like, hey, is Ansley still acting? Is she is she interested? We would love to have her audition. And to me, that meant I got the job, like obviously, right? And my dad was like, no, you have to go audition. You have to do the thing. And I remember the audition so clearly, going in, what I sang, what I was wearing, like what the room looked like, and I got the job. And so it was out of that I ended up getting an agent around 12 and started, but my parents were really like, you have to get straight A's or you're not auditioning. You have to whatever.
Yep.
And then when I was 15 or 16, I started doing TV and film in Central Florida. And we had a really robust film market at the time. We had like Dolphin Tale and that kind of stuff. So I was getting a lot of like real auditions and learning how to do it. And then by the time I was in college, Atlanta was blowing up. So I was driving back and forth to Atlanta, working on like Survivor's Remorse on Stars and then Amazon's Liberty. It was a great experience. And then to come out to LA and be like, okay, well, I already know what I'm doing and I'm SAG and I have a resume. So I walked out here and thankfully was able to start working pretty quickly.
That's amazing, because that's not always the case for other people.
No. And I did have a lull in the middle, and that's why I started writing. And I genuinely don't know if I would have started writing if I had kept acting at the pace that I was. So I'm very grateful for that.
I'm grateful for that for you too, because I know you said you cleared the air with directing. You have not directed yet. It might be on the horizon at some point.
I hope it is.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. But I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, I think that I saw you in an interview say that in 2019 you decided, I'm going to be a screenwriter too. And then by 2020 you had already written one or two or something and got them sold, right?
Yes. So in 2019, I decided that I was going to learn how to write these like feel good TV movies.
Yeah.
And I wrote 9 in 9 months. And then in February of 2020, I sold my first one. And I sold 3 that year, and then it's just taken off since. I've sold now 32 or something, and then 16 or 17 have been produced.
That is so amazing. And I feel like you're just going to you have that personality too, where you were emailing with me and you're like, well, I have a deadline for something, but we can schedule it later. And then like the next day you wrote to me and you're like, actually, never mind. I got it done before the deadline. And I was like, this is my kind of girl. She's very efficient. She gets it done. But I have no doubt, like anything that you put your mind to, if you just decided today, like this is something I want to do, you would do it. I believe that 100%.
That's very sweet of you to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, so I tell you, cheerleaders need cheerleaders. I'm going to definitely be a cheerleader for you. Martha had a good question too. So she asked, what other genres would you like to write or star in?
Ooh, so I would really like to move into half-hour comedies, like sitcoms. That's really what I want to do with my career. I want a long-running ensemble comedy that I write and I'm acting in. Something like what Mindy Kaling did with the Mindy Project, but I don't need to be it doesn't need to be that. Like it can be a little more ensemble. Schitt's Creek is my favorite show of all time, and like The Office. So like those like feel good family, like community feeling shows. I would love to do something like that.
Well, all right, it's going to be done next year. It's going to happen that fast.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're declaring it. It's going to happen. No, that's amazing. I've seen that just by looking on your website too, that you also have done kind of like thriller suspense ones that have aired on like Lifetime and stuff like that. So I'm interested to watch some of those and see like if there are some like Ansley-isms and vibes of like your style of writing. Like I'm so excited to see those too. But you've kind of done it all, which is amazing.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet.
Well, thank you.
The Lifetime stuff just kind of happened. Like the thrillers, writing the thrillers just kind of happened. I was working with this company called Real One. That's a distributor, and they do a lot of like Up TV. I think they've done a couple Great American Family, but they have a department that works directly with Lifetime. And so one of their development execs asked me like, do you have any thrillers? And I was like,
Yep.
no, I said no. I was like, no, that's not what I write. I write like comedy. I write like female comedy, but I can try. I guess I can like try to come up with some stuff. So I did. And then one of my best friends had just gotten pregnant, and she was like, oh, well, how funny is it that people sell positive pregnancy tests? And I was like, that's a Lifetime movie. Let me write that. Let me do that. So I pitched like the pregnancy scheme, and Lifetime loved it and bought it. And
I feel like you have that like light bulb brain.
oh, all the time. And I feel a little bit bad about it that if something happens in my life that's like funny or awkward or a little scary, I'm like, that's going in here. I'm using it. I'm so sorry. Like,
I'm the same way. So I like take down notes, and then every once in a while something happens and I'm like, okay, I've got a whole movie idea written right now, or a whole book idea done right now. And that's how so I have a few books that are actually published, but they're children's books. And at one point I was like, I've always wanted to do this. I'm just going to do it. And I like sat down, it took me an hour, I wrote one, and then I just was like, let's just keep going. And then I wrote like 10. And then now there's like 3 to 5 out now. So
It's amazing.
so thank you. But I love hearing other creative people. And that's why I think that's awesome that you have that podcast too, The Creative Spark.
Oh, I stopped doing it, but like,
I saw that, but it was so great.
thanks. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I know. You have too much going on.
Yeah, I had to pick. I have like 6 unreleased episodes from that I should edit and like put out there. I just haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you do, it'll be the perfect time. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and one last thing about Abigail before I ask you a couple other questions of your other movies, because you just had one come out and I can't wait to share about that. But in the Abigail Mysteries, one of the things that I personally loved about it, like obviously the Prescott tie, but also seeing all of the guardian angel moments and then like the literal God signs, like, or God winks as like maybe people would call them. Totally. What did anything like inspire that for you? Like, do you feel like you have some guardian angel connection?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do feel like I have more than one, and I feel very connected to them. I have had a couple instances in my life where the one I remember the most vividly, I was in college and I was shooting a movie that was not in the same area as where I was going to college. And so I was going to school during the day and then shooting this movie at night and then driving 2 hours back to school. And it was a lot. And I had a moment where I was on the freeway and I like couldn't see because I was tired. I like couldn't see. And I started crying and I was like, God, if you can just help me see, like I can't. And my eyes, like my vision immediately cleared. Like it was just a crazy moment. I don't think I've ever told this story before, and I called my mom and she was like, remember that was God.
Yeah.
So I have had, and there's a couple of other like dangerous moments where I've been in my life that I definitely shouldn't have gotten out of them.
Yeah.
But I did. And I think about them sometimes and being like, okay, I think I'm supposed to be here. And I don't think I'm done with whatever it is I'm supposed to do.
Oh, amen. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it. I feel honored. No, but it's so true because I've had a couple near-death experiences. Like I broke my neck when I was younger, and then a couple years later, survived a blood clot in my lung, and like literally saw Jesus at the end of my bed. Like I've had guardian angels with me ever since. And so I know it might sound weird to maybe some other people.
Yeah, I think
really
if you haven't experienced it, like I've heard one, like another one talk to another one, like with me. And I was at a very stressful point in my life. And I heard one say something to another one about letting me rest. And I immediately fell asleep. And like, it was just this overwhelming sense of peace. And yeah.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Not to sound crazy or woo-woo.
It doesn't sound crazy or woo-woo to me because it's all part of God's doing. And when you say like, I'm meant to be here, I totally feel that way too. Like we are all meant to be here and to fulfill a certain purpose. And when you have those moments where you have those like special interactions, it not only affirms like, yeah, that's the belief that I have, but then it also clarifies like what your direction is. And I think it's really special. And so that was the whole thing with Abigail. She was like having these like epiphanies and like seeing all these things comes to life and fruition. So I'm excited to see the other things you're going to do, which leads me to, you just had a movie come out. And this one was called Love on Retreat, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
So that one was a comedy for Up TV, and it was filmed in Florida in my home state, which was really nice. I was like 2 hours from my parents, and my parents came up to visit, and it was a really fun experience. And it was directed by Brittany Underwood, who is also an actress in the Great American Family world. She did a Christmas movie with Jonathan Stoddard, who's the male lead in this one. I don't remember what her Christmas movie was called, but they were just so great. Like the cast and crew were so great, and it was my first time starring in one of them after having had other people star in mine. And so it felt really, at first, I was really like, I'm going to walk in here and be the best rom-com lead anybody's ever seen. And then I like at some point just got so into the character that all of that dropped and it felt natural and fun. And it was such a fun experience. And it's a really upbeat movie. Like it moves really quickly. If people are interested in a romance that moves quickly and has a lot of energy, then
Yeah.
it's for you.
Oh, absolutely. I saw one of the trailers and there was like a live stream that was like going rogue or something. And you're like, somebody in IT, help me. And I was like, we've literally all been there before where we're like, we don't know how to turn this off. And if we turn it off, then we're going to literally lose everything that we just spent hours working on. So anyway, that's all I've seen of that one. And I can't wait to watch the whole thing. But I was like laughing because I was like, been there. I totally get that. And you have another one. Is it called
Baked with a Kiss or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that one, I read the synopsis and I was like already giggling about it. This is so cute. I love it.
It's very cute. It's very cute. And it's the same team. So it's me, the same male lead, Jonathan Stoddard, and the same director, Brittany Underwood. So it's the same group of us, just in a different like worlds. And it's very sweet. My character, Peyton, is a baker who her bakes may or may not be a little magical. And she might be finding out that her bakes may or may not be magical.
Yeah.
She might be a little overwhelmed by that.
Yeah, I love that. I read a little bit of like the summary with a little bit of what was going on there. But like for an example, for people who haven't seen anything about it before, like if somebody really wanted success, they could come in and get like one of those
Sweet success pie.
Sweet success pie, and then maybe something amazing would happen in their life to make them a success. So that may or may not have something to do with some love.
Maybe.
So, yeah. I know, so cute. Okay,
but she doesn't believe in the magic. She doesn't. She thinks she's just baking pies, and these are like her grandma named them these things, so she doesn't think anything of it. She's like, "There's no way my bakes are magic. That's ridiculous."
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if that could be true, though?
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I think that's what prayers are for, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, absolutely. Amen.
So you have both of those that are on Up TV, so that's where people can watch, right? Okay, so then you also, when I was reading, and you kind of covered it too, but like literally on your bio, like the first sentence is like, Hulu, Paramount Plus, like Great American Family, Pure, like you've literally been everywhere and have done so much, and you just had these movies come out. We've heard a little teaser about potentially more with the Abigail Mysteries, which maybe we'll see. What's next? What are you working on now?
I am working on, I have no idea, the one that I was telling you about, my deadline. I don't know how much I can say, but it is a rom-com for a major streamer.
That's exciting. Do you feel like there's somebody who kind of helped you, like get your foot in the door? Was there a role model, or was it just kind of like opportunities and relationships just grew and grew?
For writing in the beginning, no. So I wrote those 9 movies, and then I decided to just cold email producers. So I went on IMDb Pro, found production companies, said Chelsey has produced 4 for Hallmark, 2 for Great American Family. Here's her email address. And I would just pitch. And I made a no list. I tried to get as many no's as I could because I tried to make the no a positive. So if you didn't respond, that didn't count as a no. If you said yes, that didn't count as a no. So I tried to get 100 no's. And I sent out, I don't know, 200 and something emails to multiple people. And I would follow up every week if I didn't hear anything. Hi, just wanted to circle back. I have these new log lines if you want to talk about that. And that led to a producer in Canada sending my pitch email to Real One Entertainment, who ended up buying my first script.
Wow.
So it was just like the tenacity of that. And then after that first one, that was called A Bridesmaid in Love for Up TV. After that first one sold, I just started paying attention to hearing, or like to what other people were saying that they wanted. Like if I was on a development call with multiple producers, one person mentioned that they wanted a lake movie. So I was like, I can write a lake movie. Let me just go write a lake movie real quick. So I did, and it ended up being Love for Starters, and it's on Apple TV Plus, I think. And it's just really cute. It stars one of my very dear friends, Stephanie Bennett. But I tried to answer anybody's problems. So, or anybody, if somebody had a need, I tried to fill it instead of saying, oh, here's my material. It was, what do you need? How can I answer that question? And that ties back into the one I'm doing now, the streamer one. They knew that I could write this style that they wanted. And I just took their story that they already liked and did a version of that. So it's less about me. How can my work be so good? It's how can I make either your job easier or what you already have better?
Right. I love that. Servant leadership. I always told people, like even when I was on morning shows and I would have interns, I always told them like the very first thing that I did when I was an intern was observe before you serve. Like I literally just like went into the room and I would watch everybody and I would just be like, okay, where's a need and how can I fill it? And how can I fill it so well that they don't want it to ever go away?
I say that all the time to people who come to me for advice. How can you prove value?
Yeah.
Like, how can you, and I sign off my pitch emails now. I just sent one the other day saying, and I end it with, please let me know if I can be of service to you in any way. Like, how can I help you? Because if I can help you, you can help me and we can all achieve great stuff.
Yes. Amen, sister. Oh, I love that. And I love hearing about it. And it's good motivation too for other people in general, just to continue with whatever it is. Like not necessarily you're writing a script and sending it to somebody, but just to be really persistent. I know a lot of times people think, no, it's too pushy. It's not. People get like 1 million emails a day. Like keep following up because they might have missed the first one. So it's really important. And you're proof of that.
If you feel like you do have something that you can offer, then what, you're not being pushy by emailing and asking or going after the client or the agent or the whatever, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. On the acting side, I'm curious, like, is there somebody who you have always like kind of watched and then like learned from, or like somebody you really admire?
So I have this is kind of creepy, but I have this thing that I do where I find somebody who has what I want. So there is a girl who is an actress, a writer, and a producer who starred in a major streamer Christmas franchise. And I looked at her and said, how did she do it? How did she get connected with this company? How did they get funding? How did it end up on this platform? How did it? And I started paying attention to the different people. Who is she repped by? How did, you know, and I'd listen to every interview she did. I would pay attention to stuff on Instagram. Like, how can I emulate your success? My story is not going to look the same as yours, but I want to take what I can, just like I want other people to take what they can from me and make their own version of success. So I wouldn't say there's like one person, but I do different tiers of them. So I'll say this person is signed with CAA and they have a 5-picture deal with Warner Brothers. And then they just sold a book to Penguin Random House. That's my like top. That's 40 steps ahead of me. I try to have somebody who's 20 and then somebody who's like 5 steps ahead of me that I can pay attention, and I don't bail on them. Like I will follow it for a couple years as my own career is growing, and they'll change, they'll fall off. I'll say, okay, I achieved that. I need to find somebody else who has like what I want.
Right.
So using it as, because if you see it, you can be it, you know?
Right. Absolutely. It's already happening. Why can't I do it? Anybody can.
Yes.
Totally.
Well, and I love that because then, as you mentioned too, like you reach these certain milestones, and at that point, then you kind of have to pivot and say, okay, now this is the next milestone, and then continue to add onto that like ladder, if you will. But yes. So I'm also curious, do you have a dream location that you would ever want to shoot in? Like we went over your dream, and that is going to happen with your show. But what is the location?
I think if I'm shooting a comedy, like if I'm shooting a long running comedy, I would like it to be in LA because my husband and I are, you know, getting ready to start a family, and that's the next chapter for us. And so I don't want to be gone. A TV show, you're gone for months. So I don't want to be gone for that. So if it's a TV show, I'd love for it to be in LA. If I'm doing a movie, I want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to go to
Give
Hawaii?
me an excuse. Kauai is like my favorite place on the planet.
That's where we honeymooned.
No way, so did we.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. We were just a couple years apart. We would have been so close because our wedding anniversaries are close.
Did you guys stay on the North Shore or the South Shore?
We were in Lihue, like really close to the airport, basically. But then we would go to the North Shore, and then it's kind of funny because at that point we decided to stay in a vacation rental. But like back then, vacation rentals were newish, you know? And so we went and we stayed in one, and we were just like, this is kind of silly, but we just want the resort experience for our honeymoon. So then we ended up checking out of there, and we went to a resort, and it was amazing. And so we've gone back a couple times since. But Hawaii is just so special. It's so beautiful. It's like a spiritual experience.
Yes, and Kauai specifically is like Honolulu Bay is one of my favorite places on the planet. It's just like, I love it. When we go, we usually stay in Princeville. Like we usually stay on the North Shore, and we'll drive around the island to do the other stuff. But it's just like, what you're saying. It's spiritual. It's magical. It's like, I love being there.
I know, me too.
And we need to go back. Let's just all plan a trip. Let's
just go to Hawaii.
Oh man, that would be amazing. The last time we were there, Well, we were supposed to go, but then it was during the pandemic, and then we had to cancel. It actually got canceled for us. All the airlines canceled, so we were like, dang it. So then we had to wait 2 more years, and then we finally got to go again. So that was really fun and special. But anywho, we can talk about Kauai for literally hours.
Forever.
It's so amazing. I was gonna ask you about advice, but I feel like you gave so much advice already. That's just been so solid about, in general, like pursuing your passions and your career. So now hearing everything that you've done and how busy you are, I'm just wondering, like, how do you find balance and what do you do for fun? Like when you want to just decompress?
Balance has been my goal for the last year. I feel like it was kind of forced upon me with the actors and writers strike that we had, where things like stopped for a couple months. So that was actually like kind of nice because it allowed me to like write my first novel and like do things that I've wanted to do, but I hadn't had the time or the brain space to do. Moving into this next season of my life, like I said, my husband and I are getting ready to start a family, and like that chapter that I really want to be focusing on work when it's work time, and then I want everything else when it's everything else time. So I work from home. My husband goes to an office 3 days a week. That time I really want to be focused on my work. And then when my husband's around, I don't want to be thinking about scripts or deadlines or interviews or whatever. I want to be focused on him or our friends or whoever we're with. So, and I didn't used to be like that. I used to put my career and work and everything. I would miss birthday parties or baby showers if I had a deadline. And I think that balance, what you're saying, is something I'm just now at 32 learning how to do.
Yeah, it's a hard thing.
It is, especially when you feel like you're so close to the thing you really want.
Right.
And not to make this at all negative, but like being a young woman, I don't feel like people take us seriously all the time.
Right.
And so I need to be the first person to respond to the email. I need to have the answer to the problem. I need to be the easiest person to work with, communicate with, whatever. And that is still in me, but I'm trying to shift it a little bit to be like, oh, you emailed me at 9:30 p.m. and I'm already in bed. I can wait until I get up tomorrow to respond.
Right.
Like I'm
Right.
trying.
That's a really big first step, you know?
I haven't made the step yet. I'm trying to make, I've identified it.
Well, I'll be your accountability partner. Now you've said it out loud, I've heard it, so I'll circle back with you on that. It is really hard because my husband and I, we both were part of morning shows for so long. We left and we were like, okay, we're gonna be our own bosses and we'll be able to have more balance. And it was like the complete opposite. Once you become your own boss, there's no, there's none. Because then you have to think, okay, well, I've got to hustle to like make money. And if I'm not hustling, I'm not making money. So then the hustle just doesn't stop. And then eventually you're like, okay, I need to give myself a break. You have to like force yourself to take a break and take a vacation or take all those things. But now we're much better in balancing and like making different things a priority. So, but it took us a while. It's a major adjustment for sure.
It really is. And especially if you're used to being in the grind,
right,
trying to get out of the grind. It's like, well, everybody's going to pass me. Like, I can't stop. And then you realize, oh, everybody else takes a sick day to take their cat to the vet or to go to their sister's bridal shower, you know, like you can do it too.
That's for all of you out there who haven't taken a break in a year. Do it now, okay? Nobody's judging you. They want you to take a break. Okay, we covered a lot. Is there anything else that you wanted to say that you didn't get to say, or anything specific you want to say to Great American Family fans? Because I'm going to post this for all of them.
Oh, I love the Great American Family fans. They have welcomed me with open arms, and I'm so thankful. And I hope that I can continue to make content with Great American Family and that it can be as well received as everything else, because this group of fans are really they're very loyal and they're very encouraging, and I don't think I'm used to encouraging, which is really I'm very thankful for that. So thank you, fans.
Oh, I love that. That was so special. That was so sweet. Thanks again, Ansley. It was so great chatting with you. And for all of you at home, you can watch the Abigail Mysteries on Great American Pure Flix. Welcome home.